All right, so welcome back. Welcome back to this channel. How is everyone doing? Hope everyone is doing good. So, as you have seen as you have seen in thumbnail and the title of this video, we are going to build a model. Not build a model. We are going to use a pre-trained model, essentially, for uh, building a finance bot. Again, this is one of my projects that I've worked on recently, for professional reasons. So we are going to go to that project. I'm just going to share some problems I have, and to be on as a spoiler, the project failed. The main method failed. The main method that I want to try failed. So I'm just going to cover the why it actually failed, why the problem failed, and how we can actually solve it. I'll cover that also. It was a very small mistake that I did found it. So we're going to first do that. Why the project actually failed, and also we're going to go through the code. We're going to go through the code of the project, and I've also build an alternative to the main methods. First, I'll just introduce the problem before talking about the problem, right? So the problem is we're going to have it's very simple in terms of LangChain. Very simple, very simple small problem. We'll have we will have a portfolio, right? A yearly portfolio. So we'll have all the months, and for each month you'll have a specific salary and the specific saving, right? You'll have a specific saving and a salary, right? So what we'll be doing is we'll have a Postgres or SQL database, right? We'll be having a SQL database that consists of we'll use Postgres to create a database, right? Right, so we'll be using Postgres to create a SQL database, and the main idea is we'll be using a language model. We'll be using a pre-trained language model, and using LangChain, we should be able to interact with this data set, and the model will actually generate SQL queries to interact with this SQL database, based on the question given the database. So we'll have a database it contains all the months, so all the months, and the salary for each month, or the income of that specific month, if that business or something, and in saving or investing, so how much money they have actually saved or invested. We'll be having that, and so for each month we'll have both of these values. So the idea is, we are going to, as I've said, tell you, we are going to build a simple model, simple LangChain model that is able to interact this data set based on a question. So given this database, we're going to have this database, a bunch of columns. There's a bunch of columns we're going to have, right? For each month, we're going to have for all the 12 months, we're going to have both of these values, both all the rows, right? So we'll be again using LangChain, right? We'll be using LangChain. I actually thought of starting LangChain a long time ago. I have actually created, I think, 2 videos of LangChain, way previously. Thought of doing the LangChain series, but here I'm coming back to LangChain. I just want to make a video to actually come back to LangChain and just experiment with it, using Hugging Face also, right? So we don't have all this data, right? What we're going to do is we're going to use a pre-trained model, right? So there is a website called Hugging Face, right? So just, if you don't know about LangChain, just leave it for now, right? We're going to have a website called Hugging Face, right? Hugging Face is a website, or it's a hub, or it's a collection of models, pre-trained models. So they're going to have a bunch of pre-trained models that are already trained on that are already trained for different language tasks. They are trained on large language data, large text, and both code, and also SQL data and all that. So all these models are trained, and we'll just have them on LangChain. Sorry, Hugging Face. Yeah, so Hugging Face is going to contain all the pre-trained models that are already pre-trained. So we are going to get a pre-trained model, essentially we are going to use like a flan model. The model name is flan, the name of the model, and it's a very huge model. So it's called double XL. So pretty good huge model. It is built by Google, by the way, and this model is actually available in Hugging Face website. So we could just log in through a Hugging Face, get the API key, and we could access all the models of Hugging Face in our Python script. So we'll be doing that. And what we are going to do is we're going to connect this model to LangChain. And what this LangChain is going to do is, using this LangChain, we could like experiment a lot with language models. We could connect this, we could build complex systems around NLP. So here in this problem, we are going to use a specific website or specific role of LangChain or specific function of LangChain to access SQL queries. So we're going to pass this data set, we're going to pass this database to LangChain and also the model. And given the question, so we're going to have a question. Let's say, what is my salary or what is my saving in January? Right? What is my saving in January? Sorry for my bad handwriting. Right? What is my saving at January? Let's say this is the question. Let's say, so given this question, the model is going to, take this question. The model is going to return an SQL query, right? Based on the database, the model is going to return an SQL query to get the data that the model actually wants based on the question. To answer the question, the model will be needing the specific data from the database. So the model is going to write a SQL query to access the database or the specific information from that database. And after the model produces this SQL query, the LangChain is going to run this query on the database, and it is going to get the data from the SQL. So we will be basically connect the model with the SQL database. So that is a main functionality the LangChain plays here. Right? I think now let's just go through the code. Let's just go through what the code has to the code, what actually it does. So the first thing you have to do before running this particular code, maybe in your system, right? Maybe in your own computer, if you want to run this program, the thing you need to do is you have to import, install Postgres. Postgres is a library, or it is a library through which you could create databases. So here we are going to use Postgres databases to create SQL. We're going to use Postgres to create SQL databases. And also you need to import PyScopG. You're going to import, you are also going to install LangChain. You have to install Hugging Face. You will install directly through command prompt using pip command. If you have already installed Python also. So yeah, you have to do a bunch of installations before doing or running this program, right? So this is the main file. Again, this file is not, it doesn't work. I'll tell the reason why. But it does. I think, yeah, there is a mistake, I think, by the model. Let's see, right? So I'm going to run Python main.py first. Let's run it. Or you know what? Let's just go to the code first, right? Let's just go to the code. So we are going to import a bunch of libraries first, right? And then through this code, we are going to connect to that Postgres database. So essentially, PyScopG is a database. PyScopG is a library through which we could get access to SQL databases through Python, Postgres databases through Python, right? So this is the prompt. We are going to create a basic prompt, right? We're going to have this is the basic text that is going to be inputted before every question. So we're going to pass in the question. So this is the question which we are going to import or add in based on the answer we input here. And again, we're going to connect with Hugging Face to get the model. So this is the model, LLM. The name of the model that we are setting as variable is LLM. And we're going to use this model, Google Flan T5 double XL, right? So this is the link to the model, the repository ID. And then we're going to create SQL database chain. So this is SQL database chain is a functionality of LangChain, right? We are going to have LangChain, right? We are going to have a functionality of LangChain called SQL database chain. And the model and the inputs are essentially like LLM, the language model, and the database. right? So the model is going to run SQL queries on this database, and then we'll take in the question from the user or from the runner, from the person who runs this program, and then we could just pass this question through the database agent that we have created, which is again a LangChain function. Right, I'll just run it, and we also have like one function load data, right, to prepare like data. So we have a bunch of data. So essentially what we'll be doing is we'll create a database, right? We'll create a database, and we'll create one table with the month, salary, and saving, and we'll essentially like I just do like bunch of basic Python, right? Having like all the months, setting the salary to be constant, 1 lakh rupees, uh, and then we'll just insert values, and we'll just loop through the values, create random number for expenditure, and get the saving, and just add all the savings and salary to the database, right? We're going to do that. So that is for the loading the data. So I'll just run this now. I'll just run my Python main.py, and currently I'm not running load data now. So if you are running this program for the first time in your computer, so make sure you uncomment this line. I commented it. I've like essentially like deleted it because I don't have to, because I've already run it. The database is already created, so you don't have to run it again. So I'll just run it Python main.py, and it might just take some time. It's through. So spoiler again, it's not going to work. So let's say I say what is I just ask a basic question for now. What am I saving at January? Right, so we get an error. We'll get an error. So this is the query. Right. So this is the query generated by the model. This is the query generated by our model. And I will tell you that the problem is with the query. Again, this is an error message. This is an error message. And so this is the query generated by model. So I want you, right? I want you, probably developers, to identify the mistake. So this actually took me a lot of while to actually identify where the mistake actually is. Right? So just look at this line, look at this line, look at this query. So this is the query. Wait a minute. Yeah, so we have January. We do have January here. But we're getting like column January does not exist. I don't know why. Okay, so just look at this. So do you know what the error actually is in this Postgres query? So this is a query generated by model. So the error with this query is that double quote should not be used and single quote should be used. Right. So that is error. Right. So the error is around January, single quote should be used and not double quotes. And at least I think that is error. Even I don't have like bunch of knowledge in SQL. I just pasted this on like ChatGPT. I just pasted this line on ChatGPT and found that the error was to use single quotes rather than double quotes. I think there was a specific reason, especially in like Postgres. So therefore, my objective for the last let's say one day, let's say like the complete yesterday, was to just remove these double quotes and just make the model predict single quotes, right? So that was my pretty much my goal. So I have put like bunch of prompts like this: do not use double quotes anywhere in the query, use single quotes as an alternative. I've tried a bunch of prompt engineering based on my knowledge, whatever that is, but the model is still predicting like double quotes. I don't know why, right? If I think double quotes should be removed and single quotes should be pasted, right? So that is one thing. Right, so that is the error. That is why the program is actually not working. I've tried a bunch of prompt engineering. I've also tried using different models. Again, I am not able to use like OpenAI because I think my OpenAI key is like expired or something. Still that doesn't matter. There are a bunch of different amazing models in Hugging Face. I've tried a bunch of models. I've tried a bunch of language models rather than just using the FLAN model, and all of them have like a certain error, let's say, and FLAN T5 is the best performing model I found, and still this is the only error. I think double quotes should be replaced. and still that is I think very bad. So therefore, as an alternative, I've developed this file in which just I just did something very very simple, right? Rather than just using the SQL functionality of LangChain, ability to connect with SQL. So basically, again, we'll taking the SQL database, right, and we'll be having like the whole Hugging Face and all that. So what we'll be doing is we'll be taking the database and we will use bunch of we'll do a bunch of like uh, engineering. Yeah, we'll do a bunch of basic engineering on that. So we'll just have like I have created like this Python function in which we'll just given. So what we'll be doing is I will just so this is the so I have developed this function through which we could actually access the actual database and just create records, right? We could actually create records of like all the data, right? So we'll just create like records and just list values. We'll create this list values that contains of all the columns, and then I have prepared another function. We'll just taking this list because the input of the LangChain should be strings, right? So I'll just uh, created this function to actually create strings, convert them into a detailed, nice looking string manner, nice text, right? I've built this function, so pretty basic function. And then we're going to have Hugging Face, again same thing. And now rather than just inputting the question, we also have the data, and we'll have the prompt template, and then right. So that is the thing, right? So we'll rather than just inputting the question, we also have the data. And then yeah, the input variables are now not only the question but also the data. So here in the main.py we only have question, and after that we'll pass that to prepare data. Prepare data is nothing but the function in this file. We'll just access that. We'll just prepare the data first, and we'll create a LangChain. We'll create a LLM chain. Again, not anything special. We'll just have the LLM and the prompt. So we'll just have the ask your query and chain.run. And this actually does work, this alternative method. But still, we can't use the SQL method to actually access it by predicting the SQL query. So I'll just run Python mail alt, I think, yeah, 2 else. I don't know why I've put that, but Python mail alt.py. Right, so this is the string method. No, so this is the string method we have. So we can just ask any query. So let's say, what is my saving at January? I'll just start with pretty basic. You could ask like whatever question based on the data. The model is also pretty capable. So yeah, so 37418. Yeah, that is my saving in January. And let's run it again. Maybe something like at which month did I save the highest? November. Yeah, so that is a month which I have saved higher. And you could ask whatever you want based on the database, which is actually pretty cool. And the model is also quite capable, as I've said. The model again developed by Google, and pretty large model also. It works pretty good. So that is the thing. So that I think that's it for this video. That is a like development that we have done, at least for this video. So thanks for watching. Hope you like this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.